Hello everyone. Okay, first let me introduce myself. My name is Reiva Putri. I'm from class A and my student ID number ends with 002. So, today I want to share a very interesting story with you guys. Is it about a real economic case based on an article titled Understanding Economic Growth in India? How it affects the everyday lives of common people. That's title that we are gonna talk about today. Guys, imagine India as a giant economic engine that has been running faster over the last 2 decades, setting itself up for even more growth in the future. However, having potential is one thing, turning that speed into actual. Everything wealth for the common people is a real challenge. This article tries to figure out the secret ingredients that make India's economy grow by looking at four main things: what people buy, what business they build, what the country sells overseas, and how many people have jobs. Okay, let's move to the background. First, let me ask you a simple question. Do you remember the difficult times our world faced 6 years ago? According to the introduction section of this journal, the world went through some massive problems. We had a huge financial crisis in the year 2008. Then we faced the several pandemic in the year 2020. This global disaster caused a lot of trouble. They closed the down tourism business and they stopped the transportation. And sadly, they made many people lose their jobs. Now, let us talk specifically about India. Based on the background of the study, India found itself in a very complicated situation. The writer mentions that India has to fight three big problems at the exact same time. First, they have to deal with the global financial issues. Second, they have to fix their own internal problems. Third, they had to survive the pandemic. This was a very heavy burden for them to carry. Because India is the largest developing country in the world, fixing their economy is extremely important. The researcher explained in the article that making economic grow is not just about showing good numbers on paper. Instead, it is a matter of survival. They need a strong economy to pull their citizens out of poverty. They also need it to make the daily lives of the people more stable and secure. So, what should the government do about this? According to the problem statement in the journal, the government and the policymakers are desperately looking for a good recovery plan. They need to know what exactly actions to take. For example, should they encourage people to shop more? Or should they help factories sell more goods to the other countries? By finding the right answer, the government can protect the everyday lives of their people. And that is exactly why this research is so important to us to discuss today. Okay, let's move to another part. Now, let us talk about the big ideas behind this research. According to the theoretical framework section in the journal, we can look the economy like a big house supported by several strong pillars. The writer explained that one of these pillars is called Keynesian economic. This simply means that when ordinary people like you and me buy everyday things, we help business to make money and grow. The journal also mentions another interesting idea in this section. It is called the export-led growth theory. Based on the theory, the author states that a country can become a very rich if it sells a lot of good quality products to other countries. This is because selling things abroad brings in a lot of money from outside and creates many new jobs for the local people. Furthermore, the researchers explain how jobs connect to the wealth of a nation. According to the article, when a country has a growing economy, companies will open more jobs. Then, when more people have jobs, they have more money to spend on shopping. This creates a beautiful circle that makes a country even richer and stronger over time. Moving on, you might be wondering how the researcher actually did this study. According to the methodology section of the journal, this study does not use human participants like a psychology test or medical tests. Instead, the participants are actually a giant collection of numbers and data. The author gathered official information from trusted government sources in India. This article states that the researcher looked at a very long timeline to make sure the results are accurate. They collected data from 23 years. They started from the year 2000 and went all the way up to the year 2023. This huge amount of information help us see the real pattern of the economy over a very long time period. So, how did they process all these numbers? Based on the article, the researcher used a special mathematical recipe called multiple regression analysis. To make it simple, they use a computer program named eFuse. The author explained that this program helps to find out how one thing like amount of daily shopping can change the total wealth of the whole country. Okay, now let's jump to the most exciting part, which is the result. According to the data analysis section in the article, the researcher found exactly what they expected at first. The data shows that when people spend their money and when the country sells goods to the other nations, the overall wealth of the country goes up. This proves that everyday shopping is very important for a country. However, the article mentions a very strange problem during the calculation process. At first, the math showed that building factories and opening new jobs did not help the economy at all. The researcher explained in the results section that the computer got confused because the numbers were too similar to each other. This mathematical problem is known as multicollinearity. But do not worry, because the researcher fixed this mathematical issue carefully. Based on the final result in the article, the true picture finally came out. The author confirms that shopping, building infrastructure, selling goods abroad, and working all generally helps the economy grow. It is a perfect team effort that makes the country much stronger. Finally, what is the ultimate lesson from this long 23-year journey? According to the conclusion section of the journal, India really needs its people to feel confident about buying things. The author emphasizes that building good cycle structure like roads and selling valuable items to the world are also absolute requirements for economic success. The researcher also gives some great advice for the government in this final section. The article suggests that the government must create good social security so workers feel safe enough to spend their money. And they need to pay more attention to developing rural areas so everyone can enjoy a better life together. To close this presentation, the article highlights one last important point. India needs to improve the technology they use for making export goods. Furthermore, the author suggests that schools must teach students the exact skill that modern business needs today. Thank you so much for listening to my presentation, and I hope you learned something new today. Thank you.